Have you ever wondered what it would take to create a perfect copy of New York, San Francisco, or Paris that you could explore on your computer? Hi, I'm Thomas Dickerson, and I'm excited to introduce you to Geopipe. Creating virtual models of the real world for visualization, simulation, and interaction is a core problem across many industries. While raw data about the world is relatively accessible, turning that into usable models is still costly and labor-intensive. Geopipe provides that missing link between data acquisition and data presentation. Geopipe is part of a $4.5 billion space of 3D mapping and modeling set to reach $16 billion by 2020. Last year, about $500 million was spent modeling the world for our specific markets, and this has been growing in step. Even tracing and extruding a simple massing model can take an architect up to an hour per city block, spiraling out of control into days or even weeks of modeling time for larger or more detailed areas. With Geopipe, you can download a model of any size or detail in just 30 seconds. Turning a real city into a video game world can take months, even with a full team of artists. Geopipe can take an entire city and convert that into a virtual model in less than a day, given the right sets of data. For training autonomous vehicles in virtual space, you need to understand every lane, tree, curb, and road. Geopipe is tackling this problem by automatically understanding what's in the world and not just what it looks like. We provide our customers with a simple web interface. They find and select the area of interest and then customize the level of detail and included object types for their application. The finished model is immediately available to download in industry standard formats to use in their existing software and workflow. The coolest part is how Geopipe works under the hood. We automatically ingest raw data about the world, photos, laser scans, maps, terrain contours, and more. We use this to automatically infer the structure of buildings from the 3D shapes to what's on the sides of the buildings, as well as other features like trees, terrain, and water. And from this enriched understanding of the world, we automatically generate our immersive 3D models. Geopipe is competing along two axes, flexibility and automation. Superior flexibility means we understand what's in the models, not just what they look like, and we integrate with your existing software and workflow. Superior automation means that we handle the entire process of creating a world model grounded in data. For our early adopters in architecture and urban design, we provide a tiered pricing model that scales to meet their monthly needs. Meanwhile, API-based pricing and per-user royalties are better suited for the larger gaming and simulation markets whose needs we'll meet as we continue developing our technology. Besides pricing, these markets also differ substantially in terms of customer acquisition. Architecture and urban design is still very driven by traditional face-to-face networking, where simulation and gaming tend to be a lot more tech-forward. We've bootstrapped ourselves so far with $385K in non-dilutive funding. We went through the Techstars NYC program. We also have our first two enterprise pilot programs in place, one VR game studio and one large US architecture firm. We have more than 100 free and paid users on our self-serve platform and built our understanding of the marketplace through 350 plus customer discovery interviews. I'm rarely seen without a Star Wars t-shirt, and my co-founder Christopher really loves trains. But more relevantly, we share a passion for distributed systems and algorithms. I'm a PhD candidate in computer science at Brown, and Christopher, Geopipe CEO, holds a PhD also in computer science from NYU. We also have a strong advisory board spanning the academic, commercial, and entrepreneurial spaces. We're in the midst of raising a pre-seed round, building out our team and technology, and bringing additional pilot programs online. If you're as excited as we are about building 3D models of the real world and analyzing it, we'd love to chat. We are Geopipe.
Well done. Just to remind everybody, there's two guidelines for this startup competition. Visual tech and less than 2 million raised. So take it away, judges. Anybody want to ask questions? Who's first? I'm going to start calling on you guys. Go ahead, Brittany.
Yes. So you have the two different markets. How do you think about which one is higher potential for growth? Obviously, the video gaming, it looked like you had more, you can gain more revenue from those faster. So how do you think going to market, would you choose one over the other since you guys are a small team?
Yeah, so there's a pretty natural correspondence between the level of technology as we're building it and the markets that we can hit. So certainly simulation and gaming is a substantially larger market than architecture, but it also requires much higher detail models. So the models that we're producing right now can already meet maybe 70 to 80% of the needs of our architecture customers. So we're really focusing right now on getting those models to those customers while starting to build the relationships for the simulation and gaming market so that as the technology matures, we'll have those relationships in place and be ready to be selling into those markets.
Are you also simulating the insides of buildings?
No. So both of our expertise lies on solving really large problems at scale. And at this point, there's really not a good way to collect data on the insides of buildings at scale. We can reconstruct all of New York City in 6 hours right now. That's 1,000 square kilometers. There's really no way to get 1,000 square kilometers of building interiors.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was thinking about Josh Tobin's talk yesterday from OpenAI and variance versus realism. So how do you think about your emphasis on those two vectors?
Yeah, so we are really focused on providing consistent visual realism. That said, there's a substantial variety in the quality of data available in different geographic locations. So one of the things that we're working on is being able to take some place like New York that has a really great open data initiative. There's a ton of data here. And train our models so that when we go to a place that has substantially less data available, we can do predictive inference and produce models at a sort of consistent level of detail.
Where are the big mapping providers in that space? Are they trying to tackle that? I'm thinking of Google, for example. I know it's doing a lot to contour the buildings, and they're not that far probably to 3D mapping. But.
Yeah, so Google's core business model is selling ads to people, and they actually used to do a lot more than that, and they've really been paring down their product offerings to emphasize the ability to sell ads more. So maybe sometime last year we heard Google was doing a big machine learning AI hire on their Google Earth team, and we were a little bit worried, and then maybe 2 months later they announced a new feature where they could give you better recommendations about what restaurants to visit in a new city. And so they just have an entirely different emphasis. They can hire really brilliant machine learning experts, but their emphasis and the markets that they're interested in are essentially orthogonal to what we're pursuing. Yeah.
I just want to add that two of our major differentiators with some of those existing mapping platforms are that, number one, we understand what's in the world, not just what it looks like. So it's creating not just the visually accurate 3D models, but the underlying knowledge of this is a lane, this is a building, this is a tree, as well as the ability to take the models out and put them into your own software, your own game engine, your own design software.
Cool. Any other questions from the judges? We are all set. Thank you very much, guys. Well done.